Greetings out there in YouTube land. This is Morris Man. As always, I thank you guys for coming to my channel. Today, I'm going to do another one of these videos. I just did one called Looking Through Adult Eyes. And after viewing Saturday Night Live, the movie again, or Saturday Night Fever again, it's like, man, I got a totally different opinion of this movie because when I first seen it, I was 17 years old. But once I realized how funky the characters were, because again, normally the format is the lead characters or the main characters, you care for them, you like them, you sympathize with them. They're good people, with the exception of when the movie is when the main character is a bad guy, and it's like, okay, I despise him, But I thought I would do another one because my good friend Mr. Holman, shout out to Tony. I asked the people that watched that video, I said, share some of your experiences with movies or TV shows that you go back and revisit. It's like, whoa, is this what this was about? And I didn't catch that, or, just how the term is politically incorrect they were. And he mentioned the scene in the movie Purple Rain, of course, with Prince, when Morris' Day ex-girlfriend showed up when he's walking down the street with Jerome, and he gestured Jerome to, take care of that, and he picked her up and threw her in the dumpster. It's like, whoa. And I had forgot about that scene because there was so many scenes in that movie. Because what's interesting about that movie to me personally was, like with the Saturday Night Fever movie, it took me 30 years to figure out or notice these things in the movie that were foul. When I first seen Purple Rain, I thought it was foul. And this was back in the 80s. Because I had a problem with this, and I have a problem with this in general, when men abuse or misuse women. They want to beat on them, they want to terrorize them, they want to sexually assault them. That's scum of the earth. I mean, to me, it gets no lower than that, So right out the gate after watching, I was like, man, Prince's character was really chauvinistic. And in real life, he was like that because they interviewed a couple of the women that dated Prince, and them women said the same thing as like in that movie. He thought he was the Messiah and, treated them like garbage, talked about them. And, like with the Apollonia character, she came to town trying to, get into the business, and he just refused to even help her and his character was an a-hole. It's like, I don't care about nobody. And then at the end, when he kind of felt the error of his ways, I didn't care. I'm like, you just doing this because people got fed up with your antics, and now he's singing in Purple Rain. It's like, man, I ain't bad at that, The nightclub owner should have just fired him and his band and let Morris Day and them take it. The scene when she agreed to play in Morris's band, and Morris was only trying to get draws too, but at least he was trying to help her. And when she told Prince that, Prince slapped and knocked her down. I'm like, that should have been the end of the movie. We should have never seen her again except showing up with the police or restraining order or filing charges of assault. At the end, she come back to him. It's like, this man treated you like dirt, slapped you, and you back at the end, And then the scene when he tricked her and made a fool out of her at the lake, something about cleansing the water, and she had to take her clothes off and it was freezing, and she took her clothes off. I think she jumped in the water. Then you look up, Prince drove off on his motorcycle with her clothes. Was that supposed to be funny? A grown man playing games like this with a grown woman. Because these characters were not 18, 19. These guys were like in their late 20s, if not later. And this is how grown men behave. I didn't find that amusing. I found it quite offensive to women, I mean, it was a great movie from the standpoint of a good storyline. Also, of course, the phenomenal music soundtrack, the performances, it was like going to a concert. When I went, because I seen that movie like maybe 7, 8 times when it first came out, it was like going to a concert. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go back tomorrow and check it out at the movies. It was still running. It was like going to a concert. because what a lot of people don't know about that particular that movie, there was in some movies they do this. They create an alternate ending, and sometimes they do a screening for people to come in and view it, and they survey them and say, which ending did you like? Did you like this one or that one? And what most people don't know about that movie, there was this alternate ending where his father, I think he killed his wife, and then he killed himself. He pulled the gun, turned the gun on him, and shot himself in the head. But they thought that was kind of heavy, and actually it was. That would have not been a good ending to that movie. But that's my view of Purple Rain. Like I said, not just viewing it years later when I first seen it at the theater. I'm like, man, his character was a jerk. And then like I said, at the end, he trying to redeem himself. And it's like, this is only for your own selfish personal reasons you're doing this now. You finally listening to Wendy and Lisa because they had good material, and you ignored them throughout the movie. And then at the end, when you kind of got humbled when, things were falling apart at your house, and you realized that the jerk that you were, now you're trying to, make amends. But it was you were only trying to make amends based on the things that had happened to you, instead of just saying, I know this is wrong, let me stop this. Something forced him to stop this. So it's like I had no sympathy for his character at the end. It's like, But a good movie musically, a good movie, from writers. Because in that movie, of course, the directors directed, the actors act, and then the people that put it together that was their training. That was their forte. They weren't a football player that everybody know now he want to do this and he know nothing about this. Because it's interesting, the reason why Vanity did not appear in that movie, because of course she was gonna be Apollonia's character. And Apollonia was in an interview recently. She said that she got fired because she wanted $1 million. Now think about this. This was 1987, I think. And somebody's going to pay somebody $1 million to act in the movie who can act. Yeah, keep moving, because that was just insane. And her and Prince had issues with the money, and of course, again, he ended up firing her. And again, I seen Apollonia in an interview recently, and this interview couldn't have been no more than about 5 years old. And what a lot of people didn't realize, and I didn't realize this until I seen this kind of documentary, the perspective from the Stone City Band and the things that were going on during that time, when Prince opened up for Rick James, and they hated each other. And one reason, because Prince disrespected Rick James' mom. She was a fan of Prince. She asked for an autograph, and Prince just ignored her. It's like, so you gonna not give your boss mom an autograph? She's just a fan. Why would you treat a fan like that? So from that point on, they were enemies. I'm like, I totally understand, because that's one thing you don't do. You don't disrespect nobody's mama unless you're expecting to get your tail whooped. That's the quickest way to get your tail whooped: disrespect or say something or put harm to mama. Because we protect mama. We go toe to toe with you for mama. So at that time, Vanity was dating Rick James. I'm like, huh? Yeah, Vanity was sleeping with Rick James. And then Rick got tired of her or whatever, and Prince took her. Because, like, the term that Joe would use back in the day is passing around chicks. All of those women were passing around chicks. Because Apollonia mentioned, and it was kind of funny, interesting how she said this and worded it. She said, they were talking in an interview, and she said, she said, that was around the time I was dating David Lee Roth for Van Halen. I'm like, oh, really? And she said, he was real respectful. He took me to go see his mom. And usually when you do that, you're serious. But then later in the conversation, it was kind of contradictory. She said, well, we weren't really that serious. So why did he go tell you to see mama? And she said, he was real respectful. And, we had sex, a couple of months later, we got to know each other. I'm like, why do we need to hear that? We can already assume that if you're dating this guy, you're sleeping with this guy. But that was her way of just putting that in there. It's like, nobody's impressed. That kind of make you don't look good in my eyes. It's like, no one needs to get total confirmation. Leave it to our imaginations what happened, you know? Like in those old movies back in the 40s, you know, they spend a romantic evening together. You don't see nothing. And the next morning she walk around with his shirt on cooking breakfast or whatever. And he's sitting in the bed smoking. We didn't see the actual humping. You know, now they want to give you all this. Like, we don't need all that. You know, we don't need it. So I thought that was kind of odd for her to just kind of come out and confirm she slept with him. We know this. If he's dating you, we know it most likely y'all got together. And we really don't care, you know? But I'm going to sign off. But like I said in the other video, you know, share some of your movies or TV shows that you revisited and you said, whoa, you know, you caught things now that you didn't catch back then, you know. So until next time, take care and thanks for watching.